Episode 72 of the Unscripted Company Podcast. Back at you with another week. I joke about this probably every single week, but it has been a week. It has been this past 72 hours alone. You have two countries seem like are on the verge of war, if not already, at war with each other. We've had protests for multiple reasons across the United States, Canada. Riley has a real estate listing I know he's going to dive into here in a second. But before we really get into everything, I want to start off the program this evening by thanking yet again our weekly sponsors, Applebee's. Eating good in the neighborhood. As always, if you're a follower, a subscriber, a company member of Unscripted Company, go support your local Applebee's. Go there, tell them Riley and JK from Unscripted Company sent you. And if you go after 9 p.m., they will hook you up with half-price appetizers if you reference Riley and JK from Unscripted Company. So, once again, I want to thank Applebee's, eating good in the neighborhood. Don't hit us with a lawsuit. We really love you. Thank you for sponsoring the podcast. That being said, Riley, it's been a week. We can dive into all the apocalyptic news from the week here shortly, but I didn't even think to preface with this. Do you have a question of the week for us?
I do have a question of the week. I'm trying to find it. I had it highlighted. Now I'm trying to scroll through and find it again.
Yeah, I know I said I was going to lead off with something else, and then I'm like, hang on a minute.
No, you're
last
good.
week we didn't really get to it till, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through.
Good, you're good. If you want, I mean, I know we kind of talked about my week prior, which, you know, we can kind of hit on a little bit of that, but how was your week?
Yeah, no, it's been good. It's been good. We've been getting a lot of rain down here. Not to start off with Texas weather, which we always get to, but it seems like every day for the past week and a half, we've gotten some kind of rain, some kind of storm. We haven't gotten any, cross my fingers, serious weather to be concerned with, but even earlier today, we had torrential downpour. So the front and the backyard, loving this rain that we're getting. Yesterday, went with Abby's family to kind of celebrate an early Father's Day and an early birthday for her dad. And we went to Topgolf in the Domain in Austin. And believe it or not, and there was maybe roughly 10, 12 of us, her parents, her brothers, their kids, nieces, nephews. I don't know why I said nieces, only nephews. Her mom smoked us at Topgolf. Not the kind of woman you would picture is someone who would smoke you at any kind of sport. I say this in the nicest way possible. Lovely. Love you, Robin. But not someone you think that would be good at Topgolf. But we kind of figured out what her secret was. Have you ever been to Topgolf, or are you familiar with the concept of Topgolf?
I know what it is. I've just never been.
No worries. So for those of you who may not be familiar with Topgolf, picture a way to make a a driving range entertaining for folks who may not even be good at golf, but also entertaining those who are really good at golf. So most of them have 3 levels of shooting bays. So think about when you go to a golf course and they have these what do they call them? Are they shooting greens? Is that what they call them? In actual golf courses? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. Well, wait, are you talking about just the one where it's just you're just shooting the golf ball?
Yeah.
That's just a driving range.
Driving range. Thank you. Yeah. I knew there was a term for this, and it's been a while.
I don't go golfing, but we have the one here in Denton, and I drive by it a lot, and I'm like, I wonder, but then I'm like, no, I don't have the monay for that.
Yeah, I will say Topgolf makes it super approachable for someone who knows nothing about even how to swing a golf club. But out on the green, so you're basically up on 3 stories high, and you're hitting a golf ball out into this shooting range gallery with these different holes and targets, and they make it very fun. It's very point oriented, so you get points on distance, points on closest to certain targets, things like that. But there's this row of targets that are right over the edge of where you would potentially just lightly toss the ball off the edge, right? And so she was very consistent about getting holes in ones on this little chip shot right off the bay. And just because she was so consistent with that, she ended up smoking us pretty good. She ended up beating people that kind of golf on a semi-regular basis. So it was kind of funny. But yeah, it was a good week. good weekend. That was yesterday. So, and then this morning I just did lawn work and then beat the rain. So, got my Hank Hill mode on. But yeah,
There
how
you
about you?
go.
I know we talked a little bit before, but like,
Yeah, no, I mean, it was good. Like I said, just a lot of running around. Trips out to my listing. Classes, meetings. Trying to I'm not going to go into detail about some of the information I got on camera yet because like I don't want that out there just yet. But just trying to reposition my mindset essentially to kind of get through, like, to go that down the direction that I know that everything is kind of going in. um and uh and yeah, just again, summertime's here. Work has been getting busier, trying to get stuff planned early for the next school year, but that's proving to be a little challenging. But just trying to keep everything going, essentially try not to let anything slow down. But I am also trying to get some rest in at the same time because, like I said, I'm not trying to rush everything, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, I know I have these 6 things that are on a timeline that I'm like trying to push each one forward. So, but yeah, this week it was because like I didn't expect to get the listing up this week, but they wanted to push it as soon as they could because there was a house that they wanted to see, and the next thing you know, that house gets an offer on it. Don't It's only been on the market for 6 days, and it got an offer.
oh wow. Do you
And
get the sense that? Sorry, not to interrupt, but I'm getting the vibe that at least in Texas, we're seeing the housing market heat back up a little bit. I feel like it went through a slump there, but am I wrong, or are you getting a similar
For
vibe?
me, it was the slump for the entire first half of the year.
Yes.
I'm just going to be 100% honest. I can't say the same thing for other agents because there were other agents, but I will say some other agents, it seemed like they had less and less, like less closings than what they had compared to previous years.
Yeah.
Um, Now that school's out, I think that has a lot to do with it. Again, I've been seeing people that are just, hey, they're not looking to buy now, even though they said they were, or they're not looking in the right areas. But and I think it just depends on the area too. It really does. Like, I mean, the DFW market is so massive, but
It's its own
it,
state, basically.
it's so different too because you may have in the middle of Dallas a type of market, but then you go to Frisco or Plano and you have a whole different kind of market over there. So it varies. Um, and so yeah, it's one of those things. Like I said, I've been seeing it pick up for myself. I'm just trying to stay diligent and stay busy so I can push through to get the closings and transactions done, but also too just help people essentially. And so yeah, like I said, we're only halfway through the year, and I feel it picking up for myself and just honestly across the board. Yes, we have been seeing sellers. I think sellers are finally getting the picture that hey, you can't overlist your home and then expect buyers to pay for that and get the high interest rate. Like you can't expect that to happen. So I think sellers are finally realizing that, and so we've been seeing a lot of home prices drop. Rates are still nowhere near coming down. They're still where they're
And
at.
honestly, from what we've seen kind of go down this week, obviously, who knows what the first half of this upcoming week looks like, but with the military conflict, I'll just call
Yep.
it that, going on overseas, far and away, I think we might feel some of that economically
Yep.
back on the homeland.
I do too. It's just a matter of how much it's going to affect us. I don't know. I don't foresee it affecting. It'll be more of a national level. Like it won't hit each individual like large metroplex area type deal, but it'll be more of like a national level that we'll feel it on for like a short time
Yeah.
period. I feel.
I'm thinking about more just like interest rates in general. Like
Right.
they
Yeah.
won't go down, but they'll, if anything, just be held.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
But no, I mean, it was a good week. I've got a lot of news about some stuff, and like I said, we'll talk more about it off camera. But I got a lot of news about some stuff. Um, just some things that I'm trying to wrap my head around with some stuff. And
the Applebee sponsorship, it's a lot of money.
dude, I get it,
So,
man. Dude, $10,000, man. They really should. I'm kidding. they they better be putting out after all the work we put in there,
10,000 per episode.
right? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Um,
Like it's a lot
but
of bonus wings.
but yeah, so it's just again just trying to wrap my head around the direction that I didn't foresee, but I kind of foresaw coming. Um, and just trying to prepare myself for that because it's a totally different landscape than I've ever even ventured into before.
Ballet
And so,
dancing.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not very flexible. I used to be when I did yoga and stuff,
Yeah.
but not so much anymore.
I
The
don't know what that
gym.
Applebee's money coming in if you just had new passions that were gonna take over, but
But yeah, so there's that. As far as my question of the week, I
mm,
couldn't find the one I was looking for, so I'll just
forgot
ask
all
this
about
one.
that. Yeah. Let's circle back on that.
Yeah, I'll just ask this one. Would you rather be followed by a crowd of invisible children who cheer whenever you make a choice, or one invisible elderly man who just mutters, hmm, at everything you do?
The Invisible Man, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, if they're invisible, can other people around me hear the sounds they're making? Like if the children are cheering, can other people hear the children, or can other people hear that the old man going, hmm?
Yes. Well, for the sake of the argument, yes.
Okay. I'm
Yeah,
probably still gonna stick with the old man just
I was
because
about to say I would too.
I can also, I don't know, I'm not gonna say befriend him, but there can be a storyline that gets attributed there. If there's like a troop of children following me around, it's a little weird, first of all. But then like people are gonna be hearing the elated sounds of children every time I make a decision.
All right.
If it's a bad decision, imagine. Okay, this is fresh on the brain because we're still deep in watching House. But like, imagine if you're a doctor and you have like an invisible troop of children following you around, and you make like a really bad, maybe not really bad, a really negative or sad diagnosis. You have to tell someone they have cancer.
Oh, and then the
And you hear the kids go, "Yay!" Well, like they don't see it; they just hear it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
see
no.
Daddy streaming in the comments though. I mean, he probably knows your hobbies better than I do. Like, obviously, I thought you were going to get into ballet, but underwater basket weaving is your true passion, really.
Nah, no, nobody knows what my true passions are.
Full contact underwater basket weaving.
Sure, we'll go
It's
with that.
on ESPN Plus. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure you've seen it a couple times.
but yeah, I would probably choose the old man too.
Yeah,
The old man seems like the more, I don't know. It just that seems more interesting. It
yeah,
really does.
yeah.
So
Come up with storylines, things like
right,
that. Especially if he follows you around for years,
right.
years. It turns into a horror movie at some point, I'm sure. But
Mm-hmm.
so you're telling me, and you alluded to it early on, you have a real estate listing. Like, I know there's things going on overseas that can all wait. You have a real estate. You have a pretty legitimate real estate listing that I think the world, or at least those that are out there, um, should know about. You
Yes,
want to
yes,
share it?
they should. So this is my newest listing.
Damn, that's a nice looking house.
That it is a nice looking house.
Yo, look at that driveway though.
Peep that in the back of that driveway though.
Yo, that is nice. I would not want to mow that lawn.
so so yeah, I
Did you
funny story.
Photoshop the grass? That's some good grass. You don't have to disclose if you did. That's really good looking grass.
No, I like I don't know what the photographers did,
Yeah,
but
it's
the
good looking
photographer
grass.
this was so I went with a different photography company, a little bit pricier, but
Yeah,
100% worth it, especially for a listing like this. But
yeah.
a little bit of backstory about this couple. Um, so I got them as a Zillow Flex lead back in like October of last year. When I got them as a Zillow Flex listing or lead, he only inquired about an auction lakefront like piece of land property or something like that, like nothing crazy at all.
As we all do.
And he was like, "Yeah, we're not looking to move forward on anything. We're just kind of browsing, seeing what's out there." I was like, "Sure, no problem." Now, this is one of the few where I'm like, "Yeah, I'll keep in touch with you. We'll stay in touch. We'll talk, all this other kind of stuff." And they actually would respond back every so often. Like they actually would. And his wife told me straight up that he's not the kind of guy that just like is like gung ho, like ready to do stuff. Like he's a very cautious man, but he used to be a former police officer too. So I found that out. Um, he she was like, I don't know what you did or what it was that you did overall, but he really just he stuck with you kind of thing. And the cool thing about this listing though is in this neighborhood they um they have a real estate agent that lives in the neighborhood, and it's all custom built homes. So like she knows those types of homes. It's all custom built. He has a best friend of 8 years who's a real estate agent, and she also works with a real estate agent. And now over the course of these 8 months, they could have went with anybody else. But they chose to work with me. He was like, I don't know what it is about this guy, but I want to give him a shot. And so we like, as we started texting more and more, every so often they would say, hey, we want to go look at this house. And I didn't force the house on them. I didn't do anything, because a house is your biggest single purchase that you're going to make. But
Yeah.
this house, this is listed at $1.2 million. So this overall, like, I wasn't going to ever push like a high dollar house on. I was like, hey, listen, give me your honest opinion. Give me your honest feedback. We'll talk about it. Let's see what you guys think. If there's any information that I don't know, I'll figure it out. Like, I'll find the information out for you guys. So we looked at some homes over time. And over time, they started asking more questions about the listing process and how the listing aspect goes and everything like that. So I started, talking to them about some stuff, started sending them some stuff. And I went out to their house while he was gone for work. So funny story. So he used to be a police officer. He's now a pilot for the Dallas Cowboys. So and so he's that's all he does now, is he flies back, back and forth and stuff like that. Well, I went out there to meet with his wife. Again, super awesome couple. So we chatted, and again, they started asking more questions about the listing process. And then next thing you know, they were like, hey, like, let's get this going. And then they wanted to, hurry up and push it through before anything else. So next thing you know, there's now I think 3 other homes that are now just listed in that neighborhood. Ours is the cheapest one. But here's the kicker, though. Whoever offers the full price of the home, you see that little car right there? See that little car right there? They're gonna throw that Lamborghini Gallardo in with it. They're gonna transfer the title and ownership of that car to the owner of the house.
What? That's like a no-brainer, because like, I honestly have no idea what that car would even retail for. But
about $100,000.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even if you just,
because he wants an updated Lamborghini.
Oh, don't we all?
Yeah. So he wants an updated Lamborghini. So I'm just going to kind of go through some of the pictures, though, just so you can see, because there's a couple that are really good.
Yeah. That driveway, though.
The driveway. And this is all custom done. So like everything that's in this house, they bought the plans for, and then they designed all of like how it was supposed to look on the inside, essentially.
This is a beautiful home. Yeah. For those who might only be listening to this after the fact, picture, this is only a 1-story, right?
It's a 2-story, but all the bedrooms are downstairs. The only thing that's upstairs is the media, like the projector room. That's the only thing that's upstairs.
This looks exactly like what I would picture when someone says a ranchette.
Yes.
This is like, it's not a McMansion, it's a ranchette.
It's a traditional ranch house, is what it is.
God, man, some girl out there would love that bathtub setup I see right there.
Well, so it's got Italian stone floors.
Italian stone floors. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then it's got a copper sink in the kitchen. So here's the thing. So you see the tub right there?
Oh, only a copper sink?
Yes. The shower's hidden behind this other stone wall.
Ah, okay.
And then and not only does it have one master closet, it's got 2 master closets. It's got a his and a hers. So this is his.
Someone out there just came, I'm pretty sure. But anyways.
And then this is hers.
That is crazy.
And then not only that, but right across has an in-law guest suite that also has its own bathroom inside of that room.
I was wondering, it looked like a little guest house, a little secondary home.
Then you have the other rooms. So this is a Jack and Jill. So it's got 2 rooms that connect to this bathroom right here. So you have this room, and then you have this room right here that connects to it.
High ceilings too. Ceilings.
And then this is the media room. So this is like this is where he hangs out at. So like all this stuff is signed, like the jerseys, everything that he has in here is signed, except for some of these photos. He's got a photo with like Luke Combs. He's got a photo with Odell Beckham.
Do you have one?
No, I don't.
I thought we all did.
But like he's got all of his stuff in here. And not only does the car come with it, but they're kind of like those people, like they're looking to fully kind of start over in a sense. So the only thing that they're taking with them, the only things that they're taking with them is all their personal items and the bedroom furniture. All the furniture in the main room and all that. And then I'm pretty sure he'll take the Cowboys furniture stuff for the, all the other stuff will stay with the house. So like this
is a really good, definitely out of my price range, but this is a very good deal.
And there's other houses that have,
and there's a pool.
There's other houses that are offering way less, and they're listed for a lot more.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if we get multiple offers, we could potentially get more on this home.
I know
So
I put this in the chat, but I'm like, yo, if anyone out there is listening right now, let's just get our mind together. This is the new podcast studio.
the pool area.
Well, hold up a second. Is that a 3, 4, 5? Is that a 6-car garage?
7.
So only it's a modest 7-car garage.
So okay, I'll just kind of preface. So
Is that a built-out attic? Or is that
this I'll explain it. So here's the okay. Here, I'll just show you the top-down photo.
Oh, there's like a wow.
So
Okay,
when they built the house, this all came with the house. Then they added this part afterwards. So technically, they had a 4-car garage. She converted this into a wood shop. You have 3 cars in here. You have 3 cars plus a car lift that the Lamborghini sits on. So the car lift will also stay with the house as well.
There's a car lift.
Yes. And so yeah, it's on a full acre. So just to kind of show you, like, the acre actually goes further back, but this is just like the fenced in part. But they have the whole area back here essentially as well. These are other custom homes. I'm pretty sure they said that the agent that was like in that neighborhood lives right there, if not the next house over. I could be wrong, but now my favorite 2 photos of it. So yeah, I'll just kind of show you. So I got to drive that freaking beast back there. I got to drive that, and that sucker, like, you talk about like diesel and like a tank, like when you're turning that sucker.
Well, I bet.
Yeah. And then I got to sit in that and start it up as part of the video.
Nice.
But my 2 favorite photos is this one. I love how they just I love that. And then they did they did actually like Photoshop that aspect, like redo all that and everything. But yeah, so these 2 photos are my favorite. So yeah, essentially that's my listing. Here's my information. You can contact me at this email or this phone number. Put your information in, all that kind of stuff. If you're on the website, if you see the you can essentially just get on real estate photography and then just type in the address. It's a branded website, or you can just look up this and then you can contact me directly, however you want to go about doing it. You can find my information on Zillow when you go look up the address. It's in McKinney, Texas. But yeah, it's a very beautiful house, super awesome couple. And it is fully live and listed. And for any agent, if you are a real estate agent in the DFW area and you just happen to come across this video by any chance, I am doing a broker's open on Tuesday from 1 to 4 p.m. So come by, hang out, meet other agents, network, whatever. So
that's awesome. That's very exciting. That's very exciting.
Finally!
I know. Dude, I know.
It's been a minute, man. And I've been dry over here, and I'm like, and now I've been praying, and I trust in God, and He's gonna do it, man. I'm gonna sell this house and help them buy something else. It's gonna be awesome, and it's cool just because you can see. So this is copper. That's copper.
I don't know if you're not sharing your screen anymore, so I'm not sure what.
Oh, my bad.
I know you said the sink was copper.
Yeah. So that's copper. That's copper. That's copper. That's copper. That's copper right there. Oh. And then they said it when the sunlight hits the gutters just right, they look like a copper tone color.
Man.
So
fancy.
So yeah, as like I said, it's a beautiful home. You know, like the couple, like, they're super awesome. You know, like, we have conversations all the time and we just talk about stuff, but they trusted me to get this done. And so I'm pulling out all the stops with this, and I got people helping me out on it as far as like for food and stuff like that on the broker's open stuff. But I'm super excited for it to go under contract. So
yeah, definitely. All right. So it has been a week. I don't know a better way of trying to kick off what this week has been better than just kind of walking through this social post here from the Kobayashi letter. I never hear anyone actually say this account out loud, so I don't know how to pronounce it. But
I think that honestly that sounds about right.
Yeah. I always think of the was it the Kobayashi Maru from Star Trek? But
right,
yeah. So it's got a quick recap. What has gone on in the last basically 48, 72 hours here. So we now have a rapidly escalating war between Israel and Iran, which is bonkers. 2, we have U.S. tariff rates near the highest since the last 100 years. 3, we have a Federal Reserve that is delaying interest rate cuts. 4, we have the 10-year note yield rising back toward 4.5%. Oil prices up nearly 40% in 2 months. We have a worsening debt ceiling and deficit spending crisis. Yet the S&P 500 is 2% away from a new all-time high. You can't fight this market. Now, one thing I know you're talking about whenever you were showing us the real estate listing was if we had any realtors out there or any brokers out there that might be listening to the podcast. Have you seen the news from Antarctica this week?
I haven't.
You
Wait, I
Have
did
you?
see something. I don't remember what it was, but I did see something.
Here in the near future, Unscripted Company might be broadcasting live from Antarctica because scientists, according to multiple news outlets, are detecting mysterious radio waves coming from beneath Antarctica's ice.
I did see that.
From the New York Post, a group of researchers in Antarctica have found strange radio waves coming from below the ice. According to the results published in the Physical Review letters, the mysterious radio waves were discovered by the Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna, otherwise called ANITA. During this experiment, the researchers analyzed signals traveling to Earth using a variety of instruments. Using balloons to send the instruments up high into the atmosphere, the goal was to gain new understandings of cosmic events throughout the universe. According to the release, the reason Antarctica was the site of these experiments was due to little to no interference from other radio waves. However, the researchers found radio waves transmitting from under the ice instead. Stephanie Wiesel, associate professor of physics, astronomy, and astrophysics from Penn State, and one of the researchers discussed in a release by the college, revealed they discovered the radio waves while searching for a particle known as neutrinos. Quote, the radio waves that we detected were at really steep angles, like 30 degrees below the surface of the ice, they said in a release. They went on to explain that the radio waves should have been undetectable. The waves would have had to go through thousands of kilometers of rock and would have been absorbed into the rocks. She also said in a release that the team of researchers had no answer about how these neutrinos were detected. According to them, neutrinos are important to the understanding of the universe due to emitted by high energy sources and are typically hard to detect. They said that you could have 1 billion neutrinos passing through at any moment, but they don't interact with you. Quote, so this is the double-edged sword problem. If we detect them, it means they have traveled all this way without interacting with anything else. We could be detecting a neutrino coming from the edge of the observable universe. Once discovered, these particles can reveal data and information about cosmic events that even the most powerful telescopes cannot. So I ask you this. Radio waves coming from space? Is the Earth hollow? Are there alien bases beneath the ice? What's happening in Antarctica
Yes.
to cause mysterious radio waves to come up from beneath the ice?
I'm just gonna say yes. Now, like, I saw this one video. I don't remember where I saw this video at, but this person, um, it was a video about this guy who said that he made it out to like almost to the ice wall, so to speak, and they had like he got caught and they brought him back essentially. And he said like there's more stuff that's out there than what we could even fathom. You know, I can't remember I don't remember where I saw the video. It was probably a TikTok video. It might have been a Facebook. But it blows my mind though because we still have this ongoing thing where people say that we're on a planet, and then some people say the Earth is flat, and some people say we don't really know unless we were to see it ourselves. We don't know. so many people assume that, oh, because we saw a bunch of celebrities go up to space, this is what the Earth looks like. Yes, exactly this right here. So it kind of goes to show that, like, are we?
It's a good comment from Daddy Streaming. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, no, I was just reading that. So like, when you, I mean, whatever, like, so obviously believing that in God, if you believe in God, then God created the heavens and the earth. But the question is, though, is did he create just the Earth, or did he create all the other planets? Which, again, the stars were referred to as other planets back in those times. They weren't called planets. But how did he create them? Did he actually create the Earth like this, or did he create the Earth actually as a globe, as a sphere? How did he actually create it? I feel like there are things out there that we're not meant to know because of just us and our standing in this world per se. But I think we talked about it, hinted on it last week, but we think that the government is the powers that be. We think that the Pope is the powers that be, but I think it goes a lot further than that. That there's some entity on this planet, not a spiritual entity like God, but an entity on this planet that is somehow, some way pulling the strings for everything that's happening on our planet right now. That it's not even just one person, but it's probably a plethora of people. Like, I'm thinking, okay, have you ever seen One Piece?
I haven't. No.
Okay, I know it's a lot of episodes. I know
Yeah, there's like 4,000 episodes. Right?
it's a 1,200 right now,
Yeah,
something like that.
only
Only
1,200.
12. 100% worth it. I recommend. We're not fully caught up because we're just kind of waiting for some of the episodes to kind of backlog so we can kind of go through and just watch them.
And there's also 1,200 episodes.
But 100% worth it. 100% worth it.
I don't doubt that, but
it starts off very slow. But that show kind of talks about, like, you have the world government, which is like the Marines and stuff like that, and then you have the regular Marines, and you have the captains and the admirals and the vice admirals, and then you have the head admiral guy. But then above him, you have the government leaders that are the five elders, and then above them, you have these people that you have these people that are called they're called dragon something, I think, but essentially they're like, you can't touch them. Like, you can, but you can't. It's illegal to even hit them, hurt them, do anything to them, because you'll get killed or thrown in jail. But then above them, ancestral dragons, that's what they're called. But then above them, you have this being that we're just now seeing more of in the show. And so I think of it like that. It keeps going further and further and further up, that eventually it's just like you have these group of people that all worship this one being, that this one being just happens to control everything that's happening, because it just trickles down as to what's going on and what's happening. So
trickle down economics.
Economics, exactly. So yeah, I foresee, like, it's just one of those things that's just hard to really tell, because it's like I could see a world where our planet looks like this, and there's things out there that we can't even fathom, we can't even see, because we can't go out that far. I think there's a reason why they say that we've only discovered 10% of our ocean's water, like our oceans.
If that, I think it's like 8% or something.
Now, how much are you willing to bet that the 8%, if our planet looked like this, is that very center ring, because we can't go out further than that?
Maybe. I wholeheartedly believe that there is more than what is Daddy Streaming saying? This is why there are so many that hate Trump. He is not a part of the establishment, and he can't be controlled by them. There are definitely very powerful people in the shadows. 100%. I think there's so much old world money, like old world money. Like the people, like, it's easy to point to like George Soros, and some of the older families that date back to, pre-banking even, really. But there's so much that you and I will just never be able to comprehend or understand in our lifetime. But one thing that I think is kind of tricky is, I think the majority of the photos from NASA, and I use NASA as a broad term, of like when you look at the planet, I think those are real. I think those photos are real. So I have a hard time believing that like the Earth is anything other than what we can see. But I do think a lot of what is on, I'll use Google Earth and Google Maps as an example. I think there is stuff that's definitely scrubbed. One thing I think is always really fun to entertain and thought. I'm not fully bought into it, but I think we definitely talked about this on like an early podcast
Right.
episode when we had like singular topics in the episode is the Tartarian Empire. Do you remember this theory I brought up?
Yes.
Okay, so for those who aren't aware, like if you ever really want to go down like a slippery slope, just Google the Tartarian Empire, look at some YouTube videos, look at the world's fairs, the World Columbian Exposition in Chicago. It's interesting. It's an interesting theory of there was I don't even want to use the term advanced, but there was a developed empire that spanned parts of the world at a certain point in time, and the world wars were used to destroy the remnants of said empire. I'm not fully bought into it, but it's fun to entertain because you have these scenarios where a lot of people like to point at San Francisco with, we have photographs of the city of San Francisco back in its early heyday, but it was already pre-built. And there's like all these like weird things about these buildings existing before there were people in the towns with the knowledge to build the buildings of such intricate detail. Maybe I should, you know what, maybe we should revisit this topic in another podcast.
Yeah.
I can come with like photos and video, and that would be a fun one to actually dive into.
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I'm the same way. It's like, I think that there's none of us are ever going to know, but here's the thing. Again, not to go like full spiritual, but it's like God knows what's going on. He sees everything. He knows everything that's happening right now. And like I said, we're going to get into some pretty heavy topics based on even part of part of that list that you read off at the beginning or just a bit ago. We're going to get into some pretty heavy topics about some stuff that's happening. And let's just say that I don't know if it's all for propaganda purposes, but there are some things out there that are happening that are getting a little crazy again. Pretty much we're just along for the ride. But on a brighter note, apparently Trump and Elon seem to be working things out with each other.
It makes you wonder how much of that was just a ruse,
Oh,
or
all of it, bro. I'm telling you.
you think all of it? Because part of me also wonders too is like there were rumors that allegedly Elon might have been using some recreational drugs in the White House. All of that has been allegedly said. All of it, if not most of it's been denied by the powers that be. But you have to wonder, did he just kind of, you go on a little bit of a bender and then, the dude tweets every thought he has. Not every thought, but
almost every thought.
Freely. Yeah. And he's gone back and said like he regrets doing it all. But at the same time, you do have to wonder, were they in on it together?
There is a fine line. Like obviously, like you don't want to do that kind of stuff in the White House, and I could see Trump also trying to save himself from that type of publicity. That if people knew that he was smoking in the White House, and then people would be like, well, "Why don't you just make it legal nationally?" and this and that. Like
I don't think it was that. I think it could have been like neuro enhancers. Things because like he was working, so he's already a workaholic to begin with, right? But doing the whole Doge stuff, there was like words of him like sleeping on the White House floor and stuff like that. So
have you heard of that neuro gum?
No, I don't think so.
No, so it was on Shark Tank at one point, but it's a gum that like
it vitamin?
No, like you chew it like gum, and then you eventually spit it out or whatever. But like, at least I think you do. I don't know if it's that type of gum that just dissolves in your mouth or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, but apparently this type of gum, it's supposed to like it's got caffeine, different things like that, but it's also got that one compound that's in our bodies. It's called like, was it like L-theanine or something like that?
Sure.
And it's supposed to like trigger the stuff in your brain to like really get you to like start like you're going like you're super focused on whatever it is that you're doing.
Oh, it looks like it's caffeine gum.
Essentially, yeah, but it's got so L-theanine isn't in like a bunch of stuff now as far as like the caffeine aspect. But yeah, so like you can get the gum or the mints, and then it's
Oh, this
like
is what we're talking about right here.
yeah, it balances out the caffeine for a boost. Um and then it's got the other vitamins in it as well. I thought about checking it out, but then I was like, well, I don't know how many come in what, and I don't want to spend all that money for, 12 pieces of gum, per se. But like if you look at the photos on the side, it's something says 21% faster. Yeah.
Interesting. That is interesting. I could see not an addiction, but I could see becoming so reliant on this.
Yeah.
Should
Yeah.
be like this would be like the morning cup of coffee, basically.
Like I thought about just getting it just to try one week, just to try it out. But then I'm worried that because like our natural physical bodies, we if you really think about it, we're so easily addicted to just the easiest things that it's like I can just see a bunch of people get like I can just see that. But anyways, so yeah, there's just that. Um and But yeah, as far as like the Elon Trump thing and just all that kind of stuff, I don't like. I think at least like 90, probably about 85% of it was all staged.
Yeah.
Like I like the very very little bit of it that wasn't was probably just had to do with the alleged things that happened and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. I saw you had on your list of topics the No Kings protest. Did you want to dive into that? Because let me start off with a joke real quick that I had. I saw, all thanks to Mike Benz. So Riley's going to dive into what is the No Kings protest. But I want to start off with a quick joke saying that Canadian cities joined in this effort. But remember, Canada has a king, so they can't call it the No Kings protest. So they had to call it the No Tyrants protest. But I digress. Riley, you want to take us through what this No Kings protest is?
Yeah, let me pull it up here real quick. Let's see here. So essentially, people were just protesting Trump. Essentially, they were protesting him, everything he stood about, saying that he's kind of taking on a heck of a lot more of an authoritarian type thing. So people talking about like when you think of dictatorships, like stuff like that. Like I wouldn't necessarily say go that far, but it's going down that pathway. And so yeah, dude, I hate Burger King too. But Applebee's though, our sponsors, like we said, go out to them, tell them, Unscripted Company sent you, and they'll give you half off appetizers after 9 p.m. So
Definitely. Thanks again to our friends at the Applebee's.
yes. So yeah, what to know about it? So essentially, opponents of President Donald Trump's administration are set to rally in hundreds of cities on Saturday during the military parade in Washington to mark the Army's 250th anniversary, which coincides with Trump's birthday.
I didn't realize it coincided with his birthday. That is hilarious.
It's almost like it was meant to be. The No Kings protests are set to take place to counter what organizers say are Trump's plans to feed his ego on his 79th birthday and Flag Day. No Kings will follow several days of nationwide protests against federal immigration raids, including in Los Angeles, where Trump's deployment of National Guard further agitated his opponents. Texas Governor Greg Abbott is following the president's cue. Abbott said Thursday that he has ordered the deployment of more than 5,000 Texas National Guard troops, along with more than 2,000 state police, in response to the ongoing demonstrations and in preparation for the No Kings protest. Apparently, he was in Denton. Apparently, he came to Denton, or I heard that he was coming to Denton. I don't know.
Wait, are you saying Governor Abbott or Trump?
Yes, Abbott.
Oh.
The Army birthday celebration had already been planned, but earlier this spring, Trump announced his intention to ratchet up the event to include 60-ton M1 Abrams battle tanks and Paladin self-propelled howitzers rolling through the city streets. He has long sought a similar display of patriotic force.
I think it's kind of cool. I'll be honest with you. Like,
yeah,
it's something that most countries do at some point in time. It's kind of flexing their military might.
Exactly.
A little bit of a national pride thing also. We used to do these back in the day. It's not unheard of for the United States to have a military parade. Plus, it's the Army's 250th birthday. It's a valid reason to do it, I think. I think they should have gone all out for it.
Right.
I we're being recorded on this, but I think this should have looked like some North Korea parade. We should have been balling out.
That's what I'm saying.
But I digress.
So why is it called No Kings? The No Kings theme was orchestrated by the 50501 movement, a national movement made up of everyday Americans who stand for democracy and against what they call the authoritarian actions of the Trump administration. The name 50501 stands for 50 states, 50 protests, one movement. Protests earlier this year have denounced Trump and billionaire advisor Elon Musk, the now former leader of Trump's Department of Government Efficiency, a government organization designed to slash federal spending. Protesters have called for Trump to be dethroned as they compare his actions to that of a king and not democratically elected president. I'm going to go ahead and I don't ever want to feel like we're leaning towards one side by any means in this podcast, because that's kind of what we've told people before, is that we don't. I wonder what people think, and what I just want to know what goes through their heads. I really do, on that side. I know just like us, we're being fed a whole bunch of stuff, but it's like, I don't know about y'all, but it's like, I don't want people coming over here illegally. I don't want people coming over here taking jobs. I don't want people I watch a lot. I don't watch a lot of it, but Charlie Kirk is a guy that I'll tune into his stuff. I'll check him out. Same as Steven Crowder. I love both of their podcasts, and I listen to them occasionally, but I don't get to listen to them all the time. But they speak a lot of truth to how our country is right now and all the protests that are going on. And when you have the things that you've had happening over in Los Angeles and some of the other southern states bordering Mexico, it just really begs the question as to why there is such support of people that aren't even from this country coming here illegally and setting up shop, essentially, and getting all this government aid and all this aid from the government. Whereas there's people that have lost their homes to natural disasters who have been American citizens can't even get that kind of help.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Makes you wonder. I heard a really good diagnosis of what's going on. It was on the All In podcast. And if you aren't familiar with it, it's basically a podcast with basically 4 billionaires. I guess, 3 billionaires and a millionaire. They had Tucker Carlson on as a guest this week, and one of the parts they were talking about was the immigration issue. And one of the things that really does cause kind of a rift, I think, in our country currently is you have it where there is a portion of immigrants that are coming across illegally that are being given better welfare opportunities than current citizens. And that's not a healthy equation for a culture, for a society. Is, if those that are illegally in the country getting better treatment than those that are here legally, that causes an issue. And the whole joke is who hates illegal immigration the most? Those that went through the legal immigration process, because they took the time, they had the patience. It's a frustrating process. It's not easy in any country
No.
legally immigrate. There's a reason. I mean, some countries have thousands of years of history behind them in terms of ethnicities, and it's hard to get into some countries.
Yeah.
Daddy Streaming said, but do we have enough Americans willing to work the jobs some of them do to keep this country running? That's the interesting part. So there's a lot of facets to this, right? So one narrative you hear, there's a lot of narratives. But one narrative you hear is with the AI, the automation revolution that it's hard to tell, are we at the beginning of this? Are we within the bubble of it? Are we on the cusp of it? To be determined what that means. But there's a lot of individuals in the AI space, in a lot of economists that are forecasting the percentage of job loss because it will become automated, AI will take it over, etc. A lot of that is really TBD in terms of how much is AI really going to replace in the job space. But it's a valid point to bring up about there are jobs that are currently being worked by individuals that wouldn't be working it if they probably had legal status. Because once you're a legal citizen, there are minimums that you have to be paid, at least, for your efforts. And so, if you're not a citizen of somewhere, then there's no repercussion. Well, it's crazy. So the whole 3D printed house thing.
Those actually exist.
There is a community. I think actually Lennar Homes technically built them in Georgetown, Texas. I think they're getting ready to close it out, the neighborhood, but they've been building it for a couple of years now. Where they're 3D printed homes. Good and bad aspects of them. I probably wouldn't buy one personally. I think some people would like them, but it's basically like, I don't know if it's technically concrete. It's a 3D printed concrete.
Yeah.
It's weird because it's like there's no drywall on the inside of it. So like if you want to hang something, you got to drive a screw into there. It's probably got to be some like anchored concrete screw. But yeah, it's a real thing. But I guess kind of like the downside of it is those are some of the more expensive homes in the area are the 3D printed homes. Obviously, as the tech gets cheaper, it gets more efficient, But I think America loves to build timber homes. We love to build our homes out of matchsticks. And until there's a more cost-effective way to do that, I think that's where the market will continue to be. Even though the rest of the world builds their homes out of concrete and brick and laughs at us at how
Right.
homes.
Well, I find, again, just overall with with the protests and the economy and just different things like that, I agree with you in the fact that the people who come over here illegally probably don't like the ones that come over here illegally the most. But here's the thing, though. A lot of people get upset at our country for taking a stand in this and deporting them and taking them out of here. And now, while granted, ICE probably does make some mistakes when it comes to people that are citizens and they just see them as color and then they just get them out of here. That's one thing. But like actually doing the research, making sure that it's the right people that you're going after is a different thing. But every other state that you go into illegally, guess what they do? They send you right back home. They send you right back to your country. Like they, no questions asked. You come there illegally. Like you don't try to move there and get your stuff switched around and gain citizenship there and everything like that. They send you right back home. And everyone else seems to be okay in supporting other countries and what they're doing and things like that. But then it's like they don't want to support the country that they live in. That's kind of where I'm like, I'm so confused. And I wish I could just peek into their brains and just understand kind of where their mindset is at with this. It's like where they're coming from when they're thinking about this stuff, like not in a bad way to like pick them out and to make fun of them, laugh at them, judge them by any means. But it's like, where's the disconnect there as to why you feel this way that you feel versus what you're seeing right now in our country? Like, because again, like a lot of Charlie Kirk said it best, because there was a guy that he was debating, and this was so funny. I loved this because this guy was like, illegal people actually commit only like 26% less of the crimes in the country, or something like that. It was a weird statistic. But Charlie Kirk is like, you're 100% wrong, because they come over here illegally, they committed a felony, and every day they stay over here, they are committing a felony in this country.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And then he's like, no, it's a misdemeanor if they come over here the first time. And Charlie Kirk's like, no, they can treat it as a misdemeanor, which he's right. I did actually look it up. They could treat it as a misdemeanor, but the moment you step foot in this country illegally, you committed a federal crime, and they treat it as such. And so it was just interesting to me as like this kid that was debating, like looking at his phone at the same time, trying to find the answers off just a basic Google search. And I'm like, Google's not going to tell you everything. Like, you're not going to find what you need. Like, just do the research overall before you try to go have a conversation like that, to know what you're saying and what you're getting into. And, but it's just interesting to me. That's all, at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I have opinions. Some of my opinions probably shouldn't be on a recording.
Say the ones that can be on a recording.
Yeah, like it's just.
And by any means, like, I'm not disregarding anyone who wants to come over here and have a better life, but just do it the right way.
I guess what's on my brain right now is like what we saw in like downtown Los Angeles.
Right.
It wasn't like revolutionary in a sense. It wasn't as bad as like the riots back in the 90s and things like that. We saw more of it because of social media. It's kind of wild just because of platforms like X, and I guess like you could throw TikTok into that, where you can see literally what's happening from multiple vantage points in
Right.
these conflicts, whether it be domestic, foreign, etc. But it's like the whole argument that Mexico's going to take back the state of California and like that whole argument, that just, people are just wasting their breath at that point. I can't. And like the whole waving of the Mexican flag thing and whatnot, and it's saying Viva la Mexico and stuff. I'm like, okay, you don't have to stay here, dude. Like you can go back. You like, we're not going to stop you. Mexico might stop you, but we're not going to stop you. Like
Right.
that's the whole thing. But also at the same time, I have to understand that there are manufactured efforts. There is manufactured opposition. Protesters, some of them, not all of them, small portions, are on payrolls of certain organizations that would like to rile up certain demographics of people for various reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it having to do with civil unrest. We've seen this happen before. It'll happen again. You can throw out boogeyman words like George Soros paid for this to happen, things like that. But
Right.
there's reasons things like this happen. And I think it's painful and frustrating to watch other people who at one point were innocent bystanders get sucked into it for the wrong reasons. And
I agree.
They think they're morally just and they're taking the high ground. But that high ground doesn't involve hijacking Waymos and burning them in the middle of downtown and attacking police officers. And like they had at least 2 people I know got arrested for throwing Molotov cocktails at police officers in downtown Los Angeles, which is wild. Which is okay. So here's one thing. I'm not going to say the name, but maybe I'll tell you offline so you can Google it. But I went to high school with a guy. Obviously, I am over a decade removed from high school, many moons ago.
Right.
So I haven't talked to this guy in like 15 years, give or take. But during the 2020 protests, all around, I think there was the George Floyd protest that really popped up in Austin, the one I'm really talking about. I had a guy from high school that I was friends with during high school. He got arrested because he was throwing Molotov cocktails in downtown Austin, like a federal building.
Did you tell me this before? I think
I might have. I probably told you offline potentially.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how do some of these people go from objectively chill people to throwing Molotov cocktails at buildings, at people? Like the moral justification of that baffles me. But I'm aware that like it's very easy to get sucked into that. Same way people get sucked into being in cults. Like it's just an aspect of being a human being, and it happens. Let's see. Your daddy streamer says, on a positive note, I don't think anyone in the Texas protests was arrested. Well, that's good. That's good. I think maybe it wasn't part of the No Kings, but I think some people were arrested in Austin for being a little unrestful. But I don't think it was related to the No Kings protest.
Right.
It's the tail shoot of the LA disruption, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. But no, I agree with you overall. We still, like I said, we have more stuff that we can move on to, and then we'll a lot of what I'm kind of talking about is kind of involving like just overall world stuff. I think, some of the stuff that you have as well, different things like that, but it's like, it's insane as to kind of what's happening, but it could be worse. Like, I think the protests that happened in 2021 were actually worse than this.
Yeah. I think so.
Like, because they had like entire city blocks that were, taken over, so to speak. So like it was a lot worse, but it's still kind of like, hey, like it's okay. Like you can have your opinion, yes, but do it in the right way. Yeah. Don't kill or burn police officers or whatever, like it's just, it is what it is. But yeah.
And a quick mental health note. I just want to remind people that you're never lost in life. You just really haven't found your gimmick yet. So no matter where you're at in life, you can turn yourself around and really do great things in this world. So I just want to take a moment and pause and just say,
that neck though.
Dude, the neck though. I know. It is crazy. What do you got next? If not, I can definitely jump into something if you'd like, but
I mean, yeah, I mean, I've talked about a couple things, but we can just kind of bounce back and forth. I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, a lot of my stuff kind of revolves around the same aspects, but
I can go into something much more lighthearted if you'd like.
sure, yeah, let's do it.
Have you been watching any of these new AI animal creators that have hit the scene?
Bro, the Sasquatch one is my favorite one that I've seen so far. The
Yeah.
compilation videos, bro, it is the best thing ever.
Yes. So for those of you who just aren't aware for whatever reason, ever since Google's VO3 came out, which is an AI video generating platform, the internet has been running amok with these AI animal creators, basically, and it's downright hilarious. Let me play a little bit here just from like a random one. Let me do the funniest Bigfoot vlogs here.
Pushing this retard just made me think of a joke. What is the hardest part of a vegetable to eat? The wheelchair.
She just said it was Kyle. I respect it. Just wasn't ready to meet the extra fork on the first date.
You gotta be fucking kidding me. Look what some dumbass left. My new toy. Just got to third base. Turns out it was bigger than mine.
I knew that she had one. I'm mad it had veins. Oh, it winked at me.
Hi, twin. You're trying to do me like Tory Lanez. Any huz want to help me hide out till the heat dies down?
It's the motherfucking Kraken. I'm so fucked.
Holy fuck, that drink made me geeked. I might have to climb a damn skyscraper just to get sober again. I'm tweaking. You libtards keep asking why I drink and drive. I'm a 7-foot ape. The laws don't apply to me. Dipshit. Pushing this retard just made me.
So not only does Bigfoot have representation, one of my favorite ones is Cappy Poppy, who is a capybara who has a similar concept here of vlogging.
Yo, it's y'all boy Copy Poppy back with another fire vlog. Yeah, we out here in the Big Apple, aka New York City, baby.
Now we in Brooklyn. Let me get a chopped cheese on some garlic bread. The Aki way. Don't forget my Bev. Never, never, never.
Guys, New York is so crazy. People keep saying "you're." I don't know what that even means. Oh, babe, what stop do we have to get off at? I already know we had to stop and get a slice of pizza. I wonder if that one bite, the rules guy is here. Look, 0 flop, babe.
We made it to the Statue of Liberty. Guys, why is it green? It's so big. It's bigger than that tuna I caught with Bigfoot.
We rented some bikes, and now we are here on the Brooklyn Bridge.
So you have this, right? But what's hilarious is we're starting to get crossover, right? So you have these individual characters, and then you're starting to get crossover.
Today we are spending 24 hours in Mount Everest. I have a special guest. You might not know him.
Woo! What's good, gang? It's about to be lit.
We need to find shelter, bro. You're too big to be out in the open at night. And we are going to get cooked by the polar bear gang.
I ain't scared of no polar bears.
Snowball fight.
You like getting hit with these snowballs, don't you, Bigfoot?
So not only that, you now have it where all of them have gotten a house together. Have you seen this one?
I have not.
Animal vlogger on all TikTok. Up in this crib partying gang. Let's go!
I got money, cabbage, I'm an addict, spell it out like Peter Rabbit. Greeting webs, welcome to another.
Yo, Yeti, I'ma stomp your fluffy face in if you don't get out here and party.
Crossing off my list. I am your father.
Wait, you serious?
No. Fuck yeah, I'm like la 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 la.
Yo, boy, Copy Poppy, we got all the animal vloggers out here for real.
Knight, keep still. I'm about to fall.
Cold as angel bones. She said I taste sweet like soda. Check out my big ass bag for some.
Guys, I know there's new vloggers popping up every day, so if we missed a homie, tag him in the chat. My main man, Oliver, followed through.
Humans are out of this job. I'll say that much. If humans are going to lose any job, it's this type of content creation.
I'll be honest. I think that's probably the easiest job to lose because all it takes is for someone to put out something better than you can.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't put out anything that's good enough, That's yeah. I mean, even in real estate, I mean, it's not necessarily like you're out of a job, but it's like if you can't utilize social media the way that you need to make content that will catch people's attention, then other people who can do it better. I mean, if you work by yourself, like me, for instance, like I'm my own marketer, I'm my own salesperson, this, that, like until I get to a place where I can hire, like, I mean, I have a transaction coordinator, but I'm not doing enough transactions right now to warrant having her to do stuff for me per se. I was like, I can handle my transactions. I'm at least saving $350 on each transaction. But at the end of the day, it just, again, if you're not producing something good for people to watch, people are going to go watch other stuff, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy because this technology is we're still on the cusp of it. Like, we're not that far off from there being a Hollywood movie production being made with some of this stuff.
Mm-mm.
And it's just crazy to think about. We're still in the early days of this.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Another quick one, real quick for you, in case you missed it this week. We kind of talked about this on a much earlier podcast episode, but the news is really starting to come out again that there's controversial research claiming that there's a second hidden city found beneath Egypt's pyramids. The researchers who claim to have found a vast underground city beneath Egypt's Great Pyramids doubled down on their wild theory this past Tuesday by saying they found a second hidden city. Italian and Scottish scientists studying the pyramid of Khafre say their radar system has uncovered another subterranean complex, linking the structure to the Khufu and the Menkaure pyramids, as well as the Great Sphinx, reported by the Daily Mail. Filippo Biondi, a radar expert from Scotland's University of Strathclyde, claimed there was a 90% chance that the structures were connected, despite the research being lambasted by experts who slammed the findings as fake and utterly lacking in scientific basis. You can see the images here. The team claims a layout of land and radar scan reveal massive vertical shafts beneath the pyramids. Quote, "We firmly believe the Giza structures are interconnected, reinforcing our view that the pyramids are merely the tip of the iceberg of a colossal underground infrastructure complex. The team's research, which has yet to be peer-reviewed or published in any scientific journal, made waves back in March. I think that's when you and I were first talking about this, when they claimed to have found 2,000-foot-long vertical shafts underneath the Khafre pyramid. The scientists still haven't presented a purpose for what these structures were used for, only speculating that they were built by a lost civilization around 38,000 years ago. Egypt's three giant pyramids, however, were only built around 4,500 years ago. That's highly debated. I'll say that. I know the article says it. That is highly debated.
Right.
Makes you wonder, though.
It does indeed. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, that's really kind of like, I mean, obviously over the year, like, thousands of years, you've had, plate shift, different things like that. But it's like, it makes you wonder how many cities were actually below currently where we're at, and how has the water levels risen. So that's kind of one of those things too, where it's like, it brings that question about, the Great Flood and all this other kind of stuff, because all these civilizations that did exist at that point that are now underwater. So it's like, what if the pyramids existed then, but the next thing you know, they had to rebuild the pyramids because they were underwater at that point. Just different things like that.
Yeah.
So
what if the pyramids are the tippy top of something too?
It could be.
Also think about how many buildings we build today that have subterranean basements.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is very true. A lot of older towns, especially Denton and those smaller towns.
Yeah.
You have your
FEMA office there.
Yeah.
The FEMA office goes underground.
It does.
An undisclosed number of stories underground.
That's what I found. So I actually found something.
Because that's where the president goes. If the president's in the Southwest, that's one of the locations they go to in case of nuclear blast.
Hold on. So there was something that I seen, and I couldn't remember exactly where it was at, but let's see here. there was something that I'd seen that talks about these tunnels that connect each country and each continent, essentially, that go like under the ocean.
Okay.
I saw a video of it on Facebook and I saved it, I thought, but I obviously I'm not going to try to go look for it now. It shows like there's actually tunnels that connect like all the way down to Antarctica, and that can actually connect all the way back up to us in the US and every which other way that we want to go.
Is that where the radio signal is coming from?
It could be.
Think about it.
It very well could be. Let me see if I can. I mean, I could try to look for it as we're kind of going, but
what do you think those radio signals are in Antarctica? What do you think's going on there? Is it just an anomaly?
It very well could be. Again, we know that there's scientists down there studying. They're at those bunkers. They're doing what they're doing. It could be that. 100%. It could be that. It could be, something that, we're just looking too far into it. Or it could be, it's right here. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
What if it was like radio signals from the 1950s? What if you tuned into it and you actually heard 1950s radio? Literally that. Just reverberating off into infinity. Could also be from fracking. Good point, Daddy Streaming. Frack too deep in Antarctica. You might be surprised with what you find.
Brazil, Buenos Aires, and then Antarctica without ever coming up to the surface for air. And you can do it all at way more than 1,000 miles an hour on magnetic levitation trains, otherwise called maglev.
Don't know how true this is.
From Virginia to Los Angeles.
Oh, it's true.
Minutes.
Don't you doubt it for one moment.
Do the math.
Huh?
I said, don't you doubt that for one moment. That is absolute truth.
Most people don't even believe that there's a tunnel network. There are hundreds of thousands of miles of tunnel system. To Brazil, Buenos Aires.
I'll put it like this. If you ever live in a town and you wonder why your government can never get your roads fixed and why there's not enough materials around, it's probably because they're putting it all towards the underground tunnels that they're using to travel back and forth between where they're going.
Why does Elon want to invest money in the Boring Company? Why does he want to build tunnels underneath major cities?
That's a great question. Obviously, they know something more than we do, and they're not going to tell us. That's just the overall thing. But here's the deal. If we knew where those tunnels were at or where they began at, you really think that they could actually legitimately stop every single American from getting into those tunnels if something were to happen?
I think Americans and citizens of Earth at large are too docile to even try that. It's a similar argument to why. Remember when people went to Area 51? They were going to like Naruto run into Area 51. They didn't get in though, and that was probably the closest effort to something like you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but also too, let's be honest here. It was an effort made by people that had probably never. I don't like using this analogy, but have never got never gotten their hands dirty, never shot a firearm before, never done certain things to take the steps that they would need to take to get to where they need to be.
I think that's the average American, though. I think that's the problem.
Well, that's because of how they're brought up.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a younger millennial, same as you, but I was also brought up in a way that, if I want something, I'm going to fight, claw, scratch my way to try to get that.
Yeah, you were, but the average American wasn't.
I'm built different. What can I say?
That kid that grew up in San Francisco is very different than the kid that grew up in Dallas. That's very different than the kid that grew up in Atlanta. That's very different from the kid that grew up in Des Moines, Iowa.
Exactly.
You know?
100%.
Yeah.
Daddy Streaming says, doesn't Denton have underground tunnels as well? I want to say they do in certain.
Probably. I mean,
I think around the Denton Square they do.
It wouldn't surprise me. At least what I've seen in Texas, most places where there's been serious government infrastructure, there's typically some tunnels somewhere.
Yeah.
Plus, you got the FEMA right there. FEMA's got tunnels for sure going down there.
Right. But apparently, this man that discovered this, I don't know if it's the same video of the man, but apparently, like, people that are uncovering this stuff are disappearing.
Well, did I ever tell you about? I might have told you about this. Joe Biden's kid having the Finger Lakes tattoo on his back.
Yeah, and how like they will connect to something different or something like that. Like,
well, and then you have the Finger Lakes is an actual region in the country where a lot of people go missing, and homeboy had a full back tattoo of that.
Yeah. I'm just saying. Here's the thing: if I ever go missing, if either of us ever go missing, you know why.
Here, let me throw a curveball question at you. Do you believe the narrative that there are enclaves of elite individuals who, how do I word this, acquire children to consume adrenochrome? Are you familiar with this story, this narrative?
Oh, is that like how they stay young?
Maybe. It's a hell of a drug, I'll say that.
Because I'll be honest with you, like Tom Cruise is like what, late 50s, and the man still looks like he's not a day over 30.
Him and what's his face? Leonardo DiCaprio.
Exactly.
Those two are weird anomalies. Yeah.
Like there's not enough Botox in the world that could get you to stay that young looking without it being without having to spend that much on Botox all the time to keep it, to keep it going.
Yeah.
So I know we haven't had a conversation about this specifically before, but I know we've had a conversation about the island per se.
Yes.
And I know that at one point, they were talking about, like, that was kind of our theory when we talked about the Hawaii stuff going on, was that they intentionally set the fires to it so that all the rich people could come in and buy up all the land, and in turn turn that into the next quote unquote island. Would it be possible for them to do that? I don't think so, because it is a part of the country. It's one of the 50 states. So there would be a lot of eyes out there if that was to happen per se.
Maybe,
I mean, you still have quite a few natives that live out there. So somebody would be asking questions. Do I think that the whole, like, them taking children to use for that purpose, it's not out of the question, because let's be honest here, we have so many kids that go missing all the time. And I can tell you right now, the whole thing with the cartel and all that kind of stuff, you probably have like cartel, government officials, and then, or like cartel, celebrities, government officials, and then like the entity that we know nothing about on top. And so it's like, if the cartel is what's responsible for people going missing, let's be honest here, the cartel's not doing it just by themselves. I mean, maybe they are. Who knows?
They are pretty strong. I'll say that. They got their stuff put together sometimes.
True, yes.
Yeah.
But who's to say that they're not just using the cartel as the quote unquote scapegoat, if that makes sense? Like,
that makes a lot of sense.
To say that they're the ones that are doing it.
The gun for hire.
Exactly. But then they're being sold to or they're being traded to the celebrities and the government in exchange for, hey, we're going to act like we're at war with the cartel, but realistically, you can keep bringing your drugs into our country.
You're thinking like a good CIA operative now.
So if I disappear, you all know what's going on.
Yep. All thanks to our friends at Applebee's.
I probably have people follow me every single day, but that's fine though, because I usually have my head on a swivel, so it's fine.
No worries. I just wanted to ask you about that, so we don't have to go down that rabbit hole right now. But
we could choose a different week for that rabbit hole. But but I do think to some extent that there's something more there. But that still kind of doesn't explain some particular people. Like, I'll be honest, Nancy Pelosi, if that was true, she would look a lot younger than what she did. So
you want to see a crazy video?
Sure.
So if you haven't been sleeping under a rock, Iran and Israel are trading missiles at each other right now. It's catastrophic. It
So
is what it is.
we have a friend that's actually stuck out there right now. He went out there for a mission trip for one of the nonprofits that's here, and he's actually stuck out there right now. He can't fly home.
Wait, where? Like Tel Aviv in Israel?
Yes.
Cool, buddy.
So like he actually posts videos on Facebook, and he shows videos of the missiles coming across.
Have you seen the videos of that? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is live from Lebanon, basically. As you see the missiles in the sky. That is crazy.
If he disappears, you can find him in a back booth at Applebee's. Dude, that is so true though, because people, anytime you're looking for a server, all you gotta do is just go find the most corner looking booth in the restaurant. You'll find all your servers congregated around there.
Yeah. Sorry. No, you're spot on. Here, let me share another crazy video with you, unrelated to the military conflict. Check this out. Oh. Did you see the accuracy on that? Oh. What if he missed?
That's why sometimes I feel like things like this are AI instead of being real.
Oh, you might be correct on this. Yes. Wait for it. You are correct. That was AI.
Okay.
Yes. Anyways, I don't know. Thought that was cool.
So, thing about the Israel-Iran thing.
Yeah.
I saw another video. I didn't watch it, but people are seemingly thinking, because most recently, let's see if I can find it real quick. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Oh, let me see if I can find it real quick.
It's crazy watching this in real time because of social media.
Yes, it is. I cannot seem to find it now. I had something. Essentially, Iran was wanting the U.S. to get involved. Like they weren't demanding, but they were like, "You need to get involved in this right now."
Yeah, Israel wanted us to, on behalf of. Let's see here. Thankfully, as of from ABC News 12 hours ago, Trump says U.S. involvement in Iran-Israel conflict possible. I would hope unlikely, but possible. Early yesterday, Israel urges the U.S. to join the war with Iran, according to Axios. It's not looking too good, though, regardless.
Well, here's the thing, though. This is the first time in the last 50 years that unprovoked someone has just launched missiles at another country, I think. I think this is the first time in 50 years that this has happened.
I think it's hard to say it's unprovoked.
True, but the narrative,
I think there's
what the narrative is saying.
Yeah, as what the narrative is saying, yes. But one thing that's very interesting, I don't know if you see this graph here, showing how much of Iran's oil exports go to China.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder how much of this is just an economic play.
Isn't all war an economic play technically?
You're not supposed to realize that, but I mean, yes.
I mean, when you go all the way back to World War I, World War II, if you look at the economy at the time, World War II, when that happened, the economy was awful, and so they did that to stimulate jobs and growth and things like that. So
totally different side note. I'm just scrolling through my X post right now.
No,
I thought it was pretty funny. It's answering scam calls.
Can you please give me your credit card number so I can help you?
Yeah, sure. Let me just pull over because I'm driving, all right?
Yeah, sure.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I just had a car crash.
It's going to be all right. Don't worry about it. Do you have your credit card details?
But I just had a car crash. I'm bleeding.
I just need your credit card number. That's all. Yeah.
Just need your credit card number. That's all.
Just need your credit card. Oh, Daddy Streamy says we are involved. A large majority of Israel's weaponry is. It's true. It is supplied by us.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Did you also know that for the first time ever, parts of Alaska are under a heat wave?
I did. I saw headlines about that. I didn't read into it, but
yeah. So Anchorage, Alaska, or this was written June 13th, so just a couple days ago. It's not the first instance of unusually high temperatures, what many consider the nation's coldest state, but the National Weather Service only recently allowed for heat advisories to be issued there. Information on similarly warm weather conditions previously came in the form of special weather statements. So for the first advisory is for Sunday in Fairbanks, which temperatures are expected to top 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Fairbanks has been warmer in the past, but this is unusual for June, officials say. Granted, it's probably nothing too heavy to look into, but Alaska's under a heat wave.
Yeah. They're also right now, it's that time of the year, right, where the sun really never sets. So
yes,
it could be 11 p.m. at night, and it looks like it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I would love to see and experience in Alaska. And it's, that'd just be super cool to see. But yeah, super interesting on that. But yeah, overall, as far as the whole war thing, I think people were speculating that if the U.S. technically gets involved, officially, not the unofficial, we supply weapons aspect, but it could be on the brink of a World War III. But then again, we've been talking about World War III for the past 4 years, and I don't know. I don't know if it's something that could happen, but
we got to keep the military-industrial complex moving forward.
But if it does, then yeah, absolutely. I think it's just a full economical play. That's 100% what it is. That's all any war ever is. But it just depends on how bad, because we haven't had an actual war. I don't think the U.S. has been involved in any kind of war since the early 2000s.
Well, okay, so it depends how you want to have the definition here. Technically, if you use the term war, the U.S. technically has not been in a war since World War II. We've been in military police actions. We've been in military conflicts. Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm 1 and 2, Iraq, the war on terror, all that. But for it to be a war, Congress has to declare war. Congress has not declared war since World War II.
Okay.
The president, being the commander-in-chief, has directed the military to go do things. But we have not technically been in a war.
Do you think?
But also because Congress is too chicken shit to go to war, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with not going to war. 100%. I don't think we need to go to war ever. But
do you think that that's so we kind of talked about that. I think we talked about this before, but the whole the word recession, that they don't want to throw that word around. Do you think it's kind of similar to that in the war aspect? They're we're not going to call this war, but we're going to go get involved in this situation over here.
Yes and no. Because both terms, war and recession, both have formal definitions. Recession, I think, is unique in the sense that, actually, no, they're both unique because you can change. No, hang on. I'm thinking through this in real time. War has a very firm definition of Congress has to go declare it, and it's a vote. And you say, nope, we're going to war. Okay, cool. The whole nation gets behind it, right? Because think about World War II, which is very different. World War I also, but think about World War II, how different it has been in comparison to all the other military conflicts since then, right? You had rations. People, civilians at the homeland who were not in the military were directly impacted by the war efforts, right? You had war bonds, you had rations, shortenings, things like that. Didn't have that in Korea, didn't have that in Vietnam. Not Desert Storm. You haven't had any of that since then, right? You had economic impacts, but nowhere near what a nation at war truly goes through. A recession, you have a formal definition of, if I understand it correctly, and maybe I'm wrong, it's 2 consecutive fiscal quarters of negative growth.
Yes.
And you have to have 2 consecutive, right?
Right.
Now, what I think is unique about a recession is you can change, you can have fun with the numbers behind the scenes of what is calculating the overall dollar values there, right? And so similar to like jobs numbers, we had moments throughout the prior administration where they said, well, job growth is through the roof. We're creating all these jobs, right? So the economy's healthy. It's healthy. And then when you really dig in, you start to figure out, oh, hold on a second. These are not real jobs that are being created. So the jobs numbers have to be revised. And so it's like, I don't know if you remember, like we talked about this a couple of times, I think, during the Biden administration, where they'd come out with these numbers and you just wait 3 months and they would have to go revise the numbers. And it was consistently happening.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's still going on today, but the numbers can be fudged much more easily than saying it's a war or it's not a war. Now, with the recession, it's still a definition of 2 consecutive fiscal quarters of negative GDP.
Right.
So yes, that's still a hard definition, but the numbers behind the scenes can kind of be fudged to prevent that number from actually happening, because no administration wants to be in a recession, but it's inevitably going to happen. What goes up must come down.
Right.
So, and it's been kind of remarkable. The S&P 500, the Dow Jones has actually been kind of doing well as of late, but we're due for a recession.
I'd say well overdue.
Yeah.
You had one. I don't know how much. Like I said, a lot of my stuff was all centered around a lot of the stuff that's kind of currently going on now, just locally, nationally, and world news. But you had a Chinese scientist from Wuhan.
I got you on this. Yes. So news that came out this week. For those of you who are actively keeping up with the news, this is the second Chinese scientist student that's been found in the United States recently that has been smuggling in biological material from overseas into the US and has lied about doing so. It's kind of interesting. A little snippet from the article here. I'm going to mispronounce the name, so I'm not even going to bother trying to say it out loud.
Changguan.
There you go. Boom. I'm sure that's correct. Who's a citizen of the People's Republic of China, the PRC, was arrested and charged in a criminal complaint with smuggling goods into the United States and false statements, announced United States Attorney General Jerome Gordon. Gordon, who was joined in the announcement by Special Agent in Charge, another crazy name, Chevrolet Gibson, FBI in Detroit, Acting Director of Field Operations, John Nowak, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, all these people basically in the federal government. According to the complaint, Han is a citizen of the People's Republic of China who is currently pursuing a PhD from the College of Life Science and Technology in the Huazhong University of Science and Technology in Wuhan. In 2024 and 2025, Han sent 4 packages to the United States from the PRC containing concealed biological material. These packages were addressed to individuals associated with a laboratory at the University of Michigan. On June 8, 2025, Han arrived at the Detroit Metropolitan Airport on a J-1 visa. Customs and Border Protection officers conducted an inspection of Han, during which Han made false statements about the packages and the biological materials she had previously shipped to the United States. CBP officers also found that the content of their electronic device had been deleted 3 days prior to her arrival in the United States. At the conclusion of the border inspection, Han was interviewed by agents from the FBI and ICE. During the interview, Han admitted to sending the packages, admitted that the packages contained biological material related to roundworms, and admitted to making false statements to the CBP officers during her inspection. I'm not saying that she's guilty of any kind of war on terror type scenario, but this is the second person that's been found in very recent history sending biological material from places in China, parts unknown, to the United States. Can't help but wonder, where else is this happening? And why are we not keeping a better log of this? Because it's only a matter of time before something bad happens.
All I'm saying is like, this is kind of where it comes into play about, granted, she shipped it there, but then she still showed up in the country afterwards to try to get the packages at that point in time. So it just...
And a very subtle note in that article, too, is that her mobile phone was wiped before she entered the country. If she had nothing to hide, why was her phone wiped? Now, I'm also very much aware that most of the time, if you're involved with any kind of research, any kind of technology, any business really in China, you are state sponsored to a certain extent. So you're essentially become an agent of the state. So I'm not naive to the concept that I'm sure they talk about stuff that they just don't want Americans being aware of. And it may not even be detrimental to the health of the United States. It could just be other things. But at the same time, who knows?
It's a matter of national security as to what they would say. And again, that just goes to like, how we just let people in here willy-nilly. And, again, the phone being wiped. I mean, that might not even have been a her thing. That could have been the people she worked for.
Yep. I think that's exactly probably who wiped it. It's not her, but the people she's working on behalf of.
Exactly. Because may not necessarily be the case. I mean, granted, we can't fathom that here with our government and like the types of jobs that they have. But think of it as like, let's just say you're a CIA operative and you go to a different country and you're captured by the people that you're surveillancing and doing all these things for. Most of the time, they're going to wipe all your stuff out too.
Oh, yeah.
To keep you from even saying anything. And then it's like, and a lot of the time they'll even just like, they're like, oh, well, you're on your own now. Like we wiped everything, but you're on your own now. You got to figure it out. And
they burned.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, that being said, I think if you're cool with it, I think episode 72 is in the books. Thanks again to our friends over at Applebee's. If you made it to this part of the program, first of all, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be live every Sunday over on our Rebel channel, which is, if you're watching us live, hey, you know how to find us. Just come back here, same time next week. If you're watching this over on YouTube or Spotify or any of the other platforms that we're on, come hang out with us live over on Rumble. If you don't know where that is, just go to rumble.com, type in Unscripted Company. You're a smart cookie. You'll figure out where it's at. Between now and then, if you want to go hang out at Applebee's, make sure if you go after 9 p.m., and you mentioned Riley and JK sent you from the Unscripted Company Podcast, Applebee's will hook you up with half-price appetizers. That's our gift on behalf of Applebee's. So we really appreciate you hanging out with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave us a comment down below. Let us know what's going on. Riley, any last words for the people? You can give them wisdom. You can give them last words. You can shout random sounds into the oblivion. I'll let you have the last words.
Yeah. I mean, AI is taking over Sasquatch, courtesy of Sasquatch and all these other AI animals that are vlogging now, so go support them. We, again, just to kind of reiterate, we do enjoy, that's why we want to do the more live streaming so we can actually interact with our company a lot more per se. It's kind of, like the whole stigma of the unscripted company aspect, but it's a company. We want to grow the company and we want people to be involved in that. We know that a lot of people are over on our TikTok. And so, we know that y'all watch the shorts over there. So by all means, come over here and hang out, drop your comments live while we're doing this instead of just waiting for us to, post the videos and then people comment. But hey, come hang out with us. We're just here for a good time. We love the interaction. We want to have more of the interaction because we want to give you shout outs. We want to talk with y'all a lot more. Again, always don't forget, supporting us on all this. And then if you ever feel like you want to, we do have merch still. I know we haven't talked about it in quite some time, but we do have merch. We don't want to push that on people, but every so often we'll show it off. You can get your coffee mugs, hoodies, t-shirts, whatever. We're always kind of just, working on more stuff as we go. But again, we love it. We love having the real honest conversations and love hearing what people think at the end of the day. So that's how we grow the company. And until next time, we'll see y'all later.